Many people associate the term hustler with something negative. Many of the definitions also show you why. But if you are a bar entrepreneur, you should want everyone to be calling you a hustler. My name is Kratena. This is Berg. Welcome to the EE series by The Blend. Successful bar entrepreneurs don't wait for things to happen. They go out and make them happen. And what really sets hustlers apart is their level of focus.
Whether it's launching your next brand, opening a new bar, or increasing sales from previous months, you need to remain focused in order to achieve what you want to achieve.
Opening your own bar is not enough, and there's no an easy way to succeed. There's no blueprint or fast track to success, and anyone who has ever owned a bar will agree that most of it is just a lot of hard work. And that's why Hustle Magic is our mantra.
We didn't set out Hustle Magic to be our philosophy from day one. We kind of just slowly grew into it by dealing with the reality of opening and running a bar. And in that process, making a lot of mistakes. We more than one time ran out of money and we just had to find new solutions. But eventually we came to the conclusion that our bar was so much more for it, and kind of the more you hustle, the more magic you create.
I'll never forget the day when we found out that you have to pay stamp duty on all commercial leases. No one ever mentioned it, nobody advised me about it, but everyone probably thought I knew it. But I never included it in the budget. When you find yourself short £13,000 from one minute to another, you need to act really fast. You could want it more than anyone else, but if you let distractions take your focus off accomplishing your goals, you will never fulfill them. So here's how we have learned to be more flexible than ever. This is the 6 qualities of a hustler. One of the biggest cliches is thinking outside the box. Hustler approaches opportunities, situations, and problems in innovative and different ways. The real trouble with approaching any challenge with a mindset of thinking outside of the box is the belief that there's even a box to begin with. And whilst this seems really harmless, such assumption really creates a dangerous boundary condition that makes a reference point that actually limits possibilities you might have otherwise think of. From our hexagon station at Taller to the setup at Elementary, our bar is organized in different way than many others.
Little things like having all the glassware ready to go in the freezer with the ice already prepped inside makes a massive difference to the output of drinks we're able to serve when the business levels hit the peak.
This setup have completely thrown out of the window all these shelves with ambient glassware, but it also cut the whole process of making a drink by a considerable amount of time. If you can clearly see in a specific, measurable and achievable way something will benefit your bar and your business, then just follow the instinct and go for it. The more different from the norms it will be, obviously the more people will hate it. But just ignore the haters, because the only important thing is what it actually makes your business better.
We always follow and pay attention to the people who don't believe in boxes, and I think there's a lot to be learned from them. If everyone needs to be thinking outside the box, maybe the box is broken in the first place. Authenticity is a byproduct of being focused and being aware of your goals. And only when you truly focus on what you want, you can be yourself. There's no need to pretend to be something that you're not, because only by allowing your true personality to shine through, you can be 100% you.
Many years ago, when I started taking part in cocktail comps, I often struggled to identify the right way of presenting and figuring out what kind of personality I should embrace. So my early competitions were a total disaster. Then one day, a good friend of mine told me how ridiculous I came across. He told me that my presenting would never work if I continued to be pretending, being serious. I took some time to digest it, I reflected on it, and then made a promise to myself I will always be truly and only myself. It sounds obvious, but being myself, together with on-point drinks, a really good work ethic and can-do attitude, definitely brought me a lot of success.
For the same reasons, we have opened a bar according to our tastes. We are super happy if people like what we do, but we are also completely cool if they don't like what we do. Conformity is no longer a recipe to success, and being yourself will make you and your bar unique. Some of the coolest bars around the world are deeply authentic and unique, and they showcase the personal tastes, beliefs, and visions of their founders, and you can sense that from the moment you enter.
You will never be successful by staying at home and keeping to yourself. You need to be networking, meeting both industry, new contacts, but also you need to make time for people, because this is where a lot of new opportunities, partnerships, and success stories originate. I value my personal social network super high. It helps us to secure funding for various projects, connect us with the right suppliers and manufacturers when developing RTDs in the middle of the pandemic, but it also means we got to work with some really amazing cutting-edge alcohol brands. I feel duty to help others, because so many other people helped us. No matter whether it's sitting over the technical plans, assisting with licensing application, or just connecting someone with good accountant or trademark solicitor. The most valuable thing is to make time for other people, no matter whether it's in real life or online.
When it comes to networking, don't limit yourself to bar shows and cocktail competitions. Trade shows and competitions are fantastic, but it's the same people attending over and over and over again. I used to go to every single trade show, but now I prefer to organize myself, pick out the most important ones, and I attend them with a very clear agenda and a meeting schedule to kind of maximize what I get out of it. I balance this with attending other events, including everything from up-and-coming chef symposiums or a tech conference. The more you can expand your network beyond the bar industry, the better and more able you will be to connect to the rest of the world. And this will again add huge value to your career and your personal growth.
Most people don't want to admit when they don't succeed, but a hustler has no problem discussing their failures. They understand it's really impossible to strike a goal every time you kick the ball. They understand that not everything will turn out exactly as they wish for, and focus on things they can change and ignore those they have no control of.
It took us over 3 years to open the bar that we set out to open, and to be brutally honest, it was plenty of times where I felt like quitting. We've seen 10 venues fall through, and for 3 years, every time I went out, everyone kept asking about the opening. I was so frustrated with myself that eventually I just had to stop caring, because it made me feel like a total failure.
I think if you set out to accomplish something with predetermined time frame in which you believe you should finish, it can actually set you up for epic disappointment and ultimately a failure. If you're working on a massive dream, start with what's the next single action to bring you closer to the dream. Achieve that and then move on to the next one. One day at a time, step by step, even if it takes 3 years.
The only way you're going to be a better and more successful version of yourself is by constantly improving. I love to hang out with friends. I love to work with people outside of our industry, but I also schedule time for myself every single week to do the things that I like. It's important to find a balance between private life and work so that you feel like you are performing to the best of your ability, and more importantly, that you feel that you are happy. The biggest learning of 2020 for me was definitely all the legal stuff, all the licensing and accreditations that we needed for our latest hustle, which is our ready-to-drink cocktails. It requires such a different mindset, because all of a sudden you have to think about all the things that you never think about when you're running a bar. Now, when people drink your drinks, you have no control. So it's all about packaging, it's shipping, it's having customer service. When your guests, it's somewhere where you don't see them. So it's definitely been quite a journey.
If you don't truly love what you do, it becomes really difficult to accelerate or achieve success. It is so much more easier to dedicate all of your time to something when you're passionate about it. If what you do doesn't fulfill you, just stop and move on to the next thing that you're genuinely excited about. I recently watched an interview with one of my favorite artists, and when he was asked why he never shows up to any industry parties and events, he was like, look, this is not disrespectful. I'm just always locked up in studio working on my music. And whilst this sounds exhausting, I actually totally connect with that because I dedicate a lot of stuff to work, but only because I like it. And a lot of that stuff actually allows my mind to shut down and helps me to relax. I spend hours and hours listening to the music and tweaking the playlist for the bar, but that equally makes my mind shut down, like spending few hours hanging at a local skate park. I really enjoy skating because I guess when I'm skateboarding, I don't think about anything else. And it's also cool to hang out with other people than the industry crowd. There's nothing wrong with the industry people, but just hanging with somebody different sometimes is very refreshing.
The truth is that no matter how much you plan, you design, you envision something, the projects you work on will never end up exactly how you imagine it. And whilst it's important to kind of stick to your core ideas, you also should take the time to listen to what people have to say about your projects and take the feedback they give to heart. A funny story is that we originally wanted to have this kind of grand door separating the two concepts, but during the constructions, we were kind of slowly running out of money, and eventually we had to scrap the whole idea.
But we didn't really want to leave it just open because that wouldn't work for the service segments. And we wanted to create this feeling of entering a really cool exclusive place, like when you go into a nightclub. Then week before the opening, we actually bought this red barrier for 20 quid. Saying authorized access only. And it's hilarious how much people still love it, going into the place, being led through the barrier. It works much better than the doors.
Our bar is very different today because we always make sure we take the time to listen to our guests. At the beginning, some felt there was a style of drink missing in both places, so we added those. The elementary interior felt too cold for many, so we made it cozier. But we always do it in our own way so that we can keep our concept and stay true to our vision and never compromise. The pandemic taught us that the worst thing is to be passive and inactive. And if it weren't for the fact that we started our RTD cocktails, we would probably be bankrupt by now. And with that, the dream that took 3 years to build would have been evaporated in a single moment. The most daunting part of the process wasn't the actual research and development, testing the products or tweaking how we would work with it on our social media. It was actually switching the kind of mentality from being a bar owner into becoming a producer.
The future of Hustler for me lies in having an attitude of how you approach business, and a lot of it is really a common sense. Hustlers shouldn't be creating a toxic culture that sets unsustainable expectations or glamorizes workaholism. To me, it's so much more about moving fast, getting done, and doing it as smart as you can.